Hey guys, it's Jeff. Hey, I just wanted to point out, I shot this video 2 separate days because I wanted to have my clean out tray removed so that way I could show you how I ran the wiring from where the transducer is actually mounted all the way up and into the underneath the helm compartment. So that's why the video is kind of goofy, and just wanted to give you a heads up. Enjoy. Welcome to my channel here on all things Yamaha AR230 related. We're here on my boat. It's a 2008 Yamaha AR230, and today we're going to go over depth finders. Alrighty, so we're here on the back of the boat. Now, mine is an 08. My factory depth gauge was mounted right here. Was mounted right where those 2 screws are. And the wiring ran up, just how it is here, and went into the boat right here. This right here is a factory hole from the original depth finder, okay? So what I did is I took a piece of Starboard. The reason I did this is I took a piece of Starboard, which is like a marine plastic, and I cut a piece of plastic so that way, number one, so that way I can mount this low enough to get this in the water for smooth, clean running. Okay, so this right here is bolted to the boat. I used 4200, not 5200, 3M adhesive. That way, if I ever want to take this off, I can. And I screwed this, used the screws from the factory depth finder, so I don't have to drill any more holes. And then once this is mounted, I was able to screw this into the Starboard. So 2 things, say I ever replace this, okay? And it's got a different mounting bracket. All I gotta do is pull these screws out and I can put more screws in here. And that way I'm not drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling holes into the boat. There is a slight bit of drag on this thing. And as you can see, this right here touches just ever so bit on the outside, and you know, it is what it is. But this sits below the water line. With this position right here, I can run at speed. I have absolutely no problem losing signal or anything, and works absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I didn't have to drill any extra holes. I used the factory screw hole from the original wire holder right there, and then that's it. And that's it. I just used 4200 around where the holes went to help prevent water intrusion. And you know, again, I had a factory depth finder there, and I ran my cable all the way up. And you're gonna have to have your clean out tray to do this removed, possibly. You might be able to do it without, but it's gonna be really hard. So as you can see, that's the hole where the factory depth finder was. When I ran the new one up, of course I had to reseal it because I had to pull out the sealant plug to get the wire to come up. And then this goes right back through the factory conduit. The factory conduit right here. So to get this new depth finder, the new transducer wire all the way up to the helm, what I did was I took the old transducer wire and I just cut it so it's just a cable end, and then I took my new one here and taped it to it, and then I went all the way into the helm and I just pulled it through and got to go all the way through the helm. And my cable, as you can see, I can show you, it's just going to come right up through here. So as you're pulling the old depth finder transducer cable out, you have your new one just kind of taped to it, and you just keep pulling it. It'll come all right up through here, and then you have successfully ran your transducer itself. I'll show you guys how I took care of it and mounted mine. I mounted a ram mount, which is like these little balls. Look up ram mount. I'll put links in the description right here. And I mounted mine right here on the dash. Makes it super nice. It's out of the way. This right here is actually a gauge blank. This is designed, so this is where my factory depth finder was. Again, mine's an 08 AR230, and I got a blank for it, and I drilled a little hole over there. See if you can give a look on it. But I drilled the hole right there to run the wiring through, so I don't have to drill a hole in my dash or anything like that to run wiring. I actually attached this ram mount to it to hold other things, but this is where I mounted it. I got a gauge blank from, I'll put the link in, I think it was from Sierra, I can't remember. And then I ran my wiring into the dash. Originally, I had mine wired to the same way the factory depth finder was wired, to where the ignition on the starboard engine had to be on in order to power this. What I found is that every time you'd shut it off, especially if you're tubing or skiing, it's a pain in the butt. So now it's just ran directly to the battery, and I'll show you how I wired it up underneath the helm here. And hopefully I don't need a light, because, yeah, there we go, we're fine. Alrighty, and so this right here is, if I can get it and show you, this right here is the factory. This right here is from the Garmin. Alright, that's the fused link. And what I did is I actually tapped in, let's see if I can get a view of it. I actually tapped in to right here, which is a red wire, and this is for your cigarette lighter. So cigarette lighter always has power, and it's fused from Yamaha. And so I just pulled the power and I pulled the ground from right there to get power to my depth finder. As you can see, here's my depth finder wires. Those are my 2 screws for my ram mount to mount it on the dash. And then the wiring runs all the way up. And this is the gauge blank right there. So everything's nice and neat and clean. It's fused. The Garmin itself has a fuse inside that yellow connector. And of course the cigarette lighter itself has its own breaker on the outside of the dash. Oh my God, getting in there is a pain in the butt. As far as mounting it, I'll go in the back and show you how I mounted it. But yeah, so your cigarette lighter has its own breaker right here. So if you ever wires get grounded or whatever, that's what happens. So anyway, that's how it's mounted. Yada yada yada.